With the full release of Once Human finally in our hands, I thought it was time to cover my top 5 tips for Once Human coming to the game as a noob. I'm only 30 hours in, but I wish I knew these tips before starting to get a head start. So these are my top 5 tips for starting Once Human as a noob. Number 1, don't overlook Deviants. Deviants are one of the most vital parts of Once Human. They're very important, just like in Power World, they help you. Now this can be with combat or farming, like Digbot who farms ores for you passively, or this slime guy who even heals you and cures your sanity. So make sure you get all the Deviants you can, and make sure you keep them happy, putting them in these cases, and making sure their temperaments are taken care of. If you press F, you can see what the Deviants require to get their full potential. So with Digbot, he needs red light, he needs music, and he needs to be in these conditions to get as much regen as he can. And you can also get other Deviants to buff them, like the Cat Deviant, which increases the mood of other Deviants, and therefore helps their recharge be faster. So I came into Once Human thinking it was just a straight looter shooter and survival game like DayZ, with us players farming everything, but it's not. It's far closer to Power World, so get all the Deviants you can. And the bonus tip is the Samurai comes from this mission quest loot, and he's pretty good for PvP. Speaking of PvP, crafted gear is the best, because gear you loot in the world can't be repaired, and if you're like me and always jumping into PvP, your gear will be destroyed very fast. So although Once Human is partly a looter shooter, the most important thing in Once Human is the other side of the game, the survival side, the survival crafting side. So leveling your crafting and finding gear blueprints to make and upgrade yourself is the most important, because repairing your gear is very important as it will get damaged, and even if you're doing PvE and dying a lot, you'll need to repair your gear. So make sure you focus this more than anything else. Although the game can be played like a looter shooter, the best way is to play it more like a survival crafter. And that brings us to number 3. Base building is priority. Base building is king. Make sure you upgrade your base early because it will save you in the long run. For instance, once you get to electricity, it means you don't have to smelt ores using wood and charcoal anymore, and it speeds up your progress substantially. If you were like me and you jumped into Once Human, chopping down a forest for about 10 to 15 minutes, even probably longer for most of the day, then this will save you if you quickly speed up and get electricity going in your base, which doesn't take too much to get to. It will mean that you can craft and smelt ores without the use of wood and charcoal. And trust me, this will be a massive time saver for you. So make sure you build up your base, because it's going to increase everything. I wish I had focused on doing all the base building quests before I'd progressed anything else in retrospect, because it gives you access to things that just make life so much easier. Like keeping the Deviants happy with electricity is a requirement in some cases. So if you build your base up sooner, you can get your passive farm in the background earlier as well. So do this first, and then you won't have to worry about doing the PvE grind while you're on your missions. So next up we have upgrade your gear, and this comes into our other points of base building upgrades as well, because with the gear there is 4 tiers, and so you can upgrade each blueprint to a different tier. So for instance, if you have a sniper, for instance, you can make 4 different tiers of that sniper at differing qualities, and then with each of those different qualities, say you make a tier 2, you can then calibrate that to increase it again individually. And on top of this, you can put on buffs to your weapons and accessories like sniper scopes and suppressors, which even further buff and modify your guns, giving you a min-max, because this is the looter shooter side of it, is min-maxing your output. And the gear sets even have set bonuses. So for instance, some will give you increased damage for headshots and things like this, and increased bonuses to health. So make sure you pay attention to your gear, and make sure you craft a set that works together for the build that you want to go for, so you can figure out what sort of playstyle you want early on in Once Human, because this is a really intricate side of the game, and I've really been enjoying this. You can also get blueprint fragments, and then these can even upgrade your blueprints even further. It's a lot to it, but all I'm saying is at least dive into it early. Be careful though, don't spend your expensive resources on lower tier stuff until you're more advanced. Also with the wish machine, you can gamble to get some pretty good BPs, or save your points to spend on some great BPs as well, so keep this in mind. Last but not least, we have pick a good spot to build. This is a really important part of Once Human, and I made the mistake of just going to the starter zone and slapping down a base in the 1 square inch of free land that I could find, because everybody was doing the same thing. and I didn't realize how easy it was to transfer my base. Literally, you can go to anywhere on the map in Once Human. You can press B and press Z, and it will move your entire base blueprint across with everything inside of it to the new location. So you can move it across the map as you progress through the quest line, and it's a fast travel point, so it's really valuable, and obviously a respawn point. Although you also have your camp for respawn, so place this down wherever you go as well on a side note. So don't feel like you're stuck or it's going to be effort to move your base, and don't get stuck in a rut like I was living away from a road. It was really inconvenient. So make sure you find a spot that's like high tier veins, and make sure it's near water, and even make sure it's near a deviant event, because you can periodically farm loot passively while you're just chilling at base as well. So these are my top 5 tips starting Once Human as a noob. I hope you guys found these helpful, and I hope it helps you guys out in your adventure. Let me know if it does. And I've been streaming a lot of Once Human and going to do a lot more content. So you guys stay tuned. I'll see you guys in the next one.